And here we go. So while we're doing this, as part of your overall education, it's part of designing a life of meaning and purpose. This is not something that is intended to wait until the spring of your senior year. It's a year process that is going to be interwoven with your academics and your other choices. That being said, at this point, it's not really so much that you're supposed to be deciding what you're doing after college. That's putting things way ahead of themselves. At this point, it's more a matter of starting to say, what can I pay attention to that's going to help me understand who I am and what I want out of life? So that as you go forward, you can make choices that are going to be aligned with what your strengths, interests, and values truly are. We have this slide up because we have this slide up to show you that the mission statement for Student Affairs and the College of Arts and Sciences are really aligned, that we want you to live lives of meaning and purpose. So the goals for today, to help you build an understanding of career development as part of your overall education, help you understand the Career Center as a resource, and encourage what is called a growth mindset. As we dive into all this, I would like to share a video with you that is going to help you get an idea of what we're thinking about. And this is a video that is being shared. Let's see. Here we go. To share this. There we go. This is a video with Dean Jen Smith and Vice Chancellor Mark.
Okay, hi, class of 2024. We've met before virtually, so I'm Jen Smith. I'm Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences, and I'm excited to welcome you to this session. I am engaged here with my colleague, Mark Smith, and no, we're not related. I'm gonna ask him to introduce himself, and then we'll get started.
And I'm Mark Smith. I'm an Associate Vice Chancellor and Dean for Career Services. I also teach a first-year ampersand class, so 16 of you will hopefully be having class with me next week. And I've been doing the career services with the undergrads for quite a long time.
Thanks, Mark. So we, in the liberal arts are so in love with this idea of exploration and of learning for curiosity's sake. Now, a lot of what we're trying to do in these orientation sessions is to set you up for your next 4 years and, very importantly, try to assuage some of the anxiety that I'm sure you're feeling. And some of that anxiety that people carry even from their first day of college is about what they're going to do after they graduate. And I know that sounds weird, but I also know that that's something that's in the back of your heads for a lot of you. What am I going to do when I graduate? And so we want to give you some tools to help you think about that and really, I hope, take away some of your anxiety, because the power of a liberal arts education, a broad education that gives you different ways of thinking and looking at the world and really makes you strong communicators, is that regardless of what you're going to encounter in the world, and we know, the one thing we know, and you're living through a time of incredible change, is that we don't know what the world of work is going to be like when you graduate or get through your careers over the next decades. And so that is one of the uniquely powerful aspects of an arts and sciences education, is that you're going to learn better how to analyze texts, how to analyze numerical materials, and that is going to set you up to pursue whatever it is that you're excited about. So I'm going to kick this back to Mark to tell you a little bit more about what we're hoping for you over the next couple of years.
And Dean Smith has it exactly right. I mean, I talk to employers every day, and I can tell you, this is what they want when they're coming on campus. And it doesn't matter if they're coming from a not-for-profit or Goldman Sachs or whatever. They want smart, they want hardworking, they want people who can solve problems, they want people who are adaptable, who can learn, and they want people who can communicate well. And that's what we're doing in arts and sciences. I mean, those are the skills you're learning. And the admissions office did a great job of bringing in smart, hardworking people. You're already that. So here's what I would tell you. One, you know, I know, and I was this way in college, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And I thought I was the only one who didn't know. And that's not the case. I talk to students every day too. Even the students who tell you they know what they're going to do, they're just kind of saying that because they want to look like they've got their act together. You're not supposed to know what you want to do when you're 18 to 22, and this is part of the process that you're going to go through. Figuring out what you want to do, this is part of what we're going to try and help you. We're not going to solve it today, but to help you get thinking about it. And the way I think about it is you're trying to figure out, well, what skills do I have that I'm good at? What interests do I have that, you know, I enjoy, that get me excited? What values do I have that might shape what I want to do in terms of my work? And those are not static things. Those are going to change over time. You know, over your 4 years, you'll maybe learn I'm really good at a certain type of writing or a certain type of quantitative analysis. You may develop an interest from a course or from an extracurricular or from a summer work experience where you say, I didn't even know this existed, but this is really interesting to me. So those are going to change. You're going to combine those three things, skills, interest, and values, with what the world needs. What problem are you kind of trying to solve? To put it more crassly, what can you get paid to do? And so that's where many students don't know a lot. And I think talking to people in the work world, talking to people here at WashU, people in the Career Center, to alumni, it's a great way to find out what the world needs. While you're in school over this next 4 years, you know, what I want you to be thinking about is you're trying to collect three things: a set of skills, you know, maybe it's particular writing skills or analysis skills or whatever, a set of experiences you had in the classroom where I did this type of analysis, or maybe it's in an extracurricular. I did the public relations for this group. Or maybe it's from summer work experiences or work experiences during the school year. And then connections. And the connections are going to come from alumni, from people here at WashU, from people in the Career Center, from friends of your parents, parents of your friends, people who are kind of doing things or interested in the same kinds of things you are. And then to say to them, how do I put this into realize it in terms of work? You know, what kind of opportunities are there? How do I get into this field? What are they looking for? That kind of stuff. I do a program later this semester on networking, which when I was in school, I thought, ooh, that sounds a little intense, but it's very low key and it's very practical, and I'd encourage you to come to it, but we can talk more about that. So that's kind of the big picture framework. I think we're going to develop a little bit more today, helping you kind of get some idea of your interest. I hope you have a great time. I just would say, I talk to students every day. I'd love to say hello. I'm a lawyer by training, so you know, for those of you who are thinking about law school, happy to talk to you. Dean Smith, any final thoughts?
I'll add just two things before we send you on to the meat of this. So one is that, again, you know, this isn't necessarily about you figuring out what you want to major in. This is valuable for people who know what they want to major in, who have no idea what they want to major in. There is this link between what you study and what you love and the skills you're going to build, but there's not a unique connection between what you major in and what you go on to do. And so it's important to me that you not confuse those two things or conflate those two things, and that you don't have to feel like you need to make a sacrifice between learning about things you simply love learning about and getting yourself set up, as Mark was saying, you know, to do something that the world will pay you to do. You don't have to make a choice between those other two things. The last point I want to make is along the lines of reducing stress. The other thing that I think people get super stressed out about is this sense that they're supposed to find their passion, their singular passion, that is a thing that they will discover and then be happy forever after because they have found this thing. And Mark referenced to this, you're going to change. Your interests are going to change. You're going to find different things. And I think I've talked to a lot of students who are feeling a little bit lost because they're interested in so many different things, but they're afraid that they haven't found their passion, you know, this one thing. And I got to tell you, like I said when we met, I'm a geologist. I really, really like rocks. Never in my life have I been like, rocks, I can't stop sleeping because I'm thinking about rocks, you know? So this sense of passion, I'm afraid, sets people up to imagine that they must be consumed with a particular topic in order for that to be the thing that they want to make important to themselves and their lives moving forward. And so don't hold yourself to the idea that unless you've found, you know, the one true path for you, that you have to keep looking. Find something that you're consistently interested in, that you know, you are excited about thinking about, and you know, don't worry about finding that one unique thing, because there are a lot of things out there, and a balanced life has a lot of different interests and joys. And so don't put pressure on yourself to identify a thing and then stick with it, regardless of how you change and evolve through your 4 years of college and through your life. So we hope you enjoy the rest of your time in this session, and we're really looking forward to getting to know you over your time at WashU.
Great. So good to see you all.
Okay, so if I were to take a couple of things away from that I would want to emphasize, one is I wanted to clarify the major is not the same as your career. The Arts and Sciences is not a vocational program where you study one thing that has the same name as a career that you're going to go into. The major is about a third of your total coursework. You have elective work, you can get double majors, minors, etc. There's your internships, there's your student activities. When you combine all of those things together, those are going to prepare you with all the skills and knowledge that you need to go into whatever career that you choose. So the major is only one piece of it and does not over-dominate everything else to become the most important thing. That's why you often hear people say, oh, I got a career that's not in my major. It's like, well, yes, that's how it's supposed to work. So think of your major as something that academically really inspires you, that you love to study, and it's going to teach you really important skills and knowledge. But know that that alone is never the thing that determines what your career is going to be. So they are related, but they're not the same. So separate those two things out as we go forward. So as we're talking about career, we're not talking about choosing a major. We're talking about something different. And I just want to reiterate what Dean Smith, Jen Smith was saying about passion. Passion is something that grows over time. It begins with a spark. So think of it as a fire. You don't start with a raging fire. You start with a spark that then you have to feed. And if anybody has ever tried to start like a campfire or something, you know how it can be pretty tough to get it started. You have to feed it. You got to be gentle with it. You've got to give it the right fuel. And over time, you keep feeding it and feeding it and feeding it, and then it becomes the fire. What you're looking for at this point in your life are the sparks. What sparks your interest? What sparks your imagination? So let me just kind of shift that metaphor for you a little bit. And as we dive into this, we're going to begin the whole process of thinking about what might you be doing in 4 or 5 years by doing a little time travel. We're not going to go forward in time. We're going to go backward in time. I want you to take a moment, and rather than small groups, I'm going to put a whiteboard up. What did you want to be when you were a child, when you grew up? Take a moment and go ahead, and I'm going to save this, clear the drawings. Go ahead and go to the whiteboard, click on annotation or view options at the top, put in the text. What did you want to be when you were a child? I wanted to be a marine biologist too. I became an English professor and then an advisor, but I wanted to be a marine biologist. Ooh, pie. I love pie. Lots of vets, yeah. Okay. Scientist, college professor, famous actress, princess, doctor, architect, artist. This is awesome. You can also take a moment, and if you go to stamp, you can do a check mark or a heart or a star next to anybody else's that you also thought that maybe you wanted to be. A lot of famous, a lot of marine biologists, princesses. Okay. So now that we've gotten some things going here, I'm going to break you up into a couple groups. I know we have a lot of people here. We have 34 participants. I guess that's 31 after you take me and the Roosas out. I'm going to break you up into a couple groups then. And those of you who are comfortable doing so, I want you to share something. I want you to share how much those interests stayed the same. So if you wanted to be a princess as a child, do you still want to be a princess? Has that interest stayed the same? Or has it changed? Do you now have different ambitions in life? So I'm going to break you up into a couple groups here.
Does anyone else want to share?
Yeah, I'll share. When I was little, I wanted first, for a while there, I thought I was going to be an actress on Broadway. Then I met all of my music teachers and like voice teachers, and then and they all had like really
I wanted to be a soccer player, and I guess I still do, but it's pretty realistic that at this point I know it's not going to happen. So, yeah.
I wanted to be a doctor from like a really small age. I was like sick a lot, so I was always in the hospital, and I thought the doctors were like the coolest people there. Like, loved them. So yeah, and I still want to be a doctor. That's why I'm here. So.
Hey there, let me ask you all another question. Did your interests stay the same, but kind of in a surprising new way? So maybe as a kid, you wanted to run a lemonade stand, and now you want to be an entrepreneur. Anybody's dreams stay the same, but change a little bit?
Well, I guess mine did a little bit. I wanted to be like the president, but now I've realized I probably don't want to do that, and we'll probably just be going into politics. So it's kind of the same like theme, but yeah.
I'm going to leave you to continue talking. It'll be about probably another minute, if less. You'll see a countdown. Hey, welcome back, everybody. As people return, was there anything interesting from your conversations you'd want to share with the group as a whole?
I found it interesting how like a lot of people's dreams didn't necessarily change, but they were kind of edited to be more realistic because we're constantly told like this dream is unrealistic, or like this wouldn't be like enough money or something, and so people kind of like edit their dreams, or so to say.
Feel free to, at the bottom reactions, you can do a thumbs up if you hear something that you agree with.
Yeah, I would say that a lot of our dreams became more realistic in the sense like instead of being president, we're going to go into politics, because it's not really possible to like for everybody to be the president or everybody to be a princess. So I think a lot of those shifted to more applicable jobs.
Yeah. My conversations with students, sometimes what I find are that if you take the qualities from their dreams and separate it from the object that they've applied it to, you can find other ways that you can also achieve those qualities. So for example, if you wanted to be a doctor, it's like, okay, well, what does being a doctor mean to you? It's like, okay, well, healing people. I'm interested in the body. I'm interested in being the one that people turn to in distress, those sorts of things. Then you can also say, okay, well, what else does those things? Because it might turn out that, well, being a doctor, as you discover, may have certain expectations, responsibilities, etc., that you're not as crazy about. And you're like, oh, well, there's these other jobs that I didn't even know about as a kid. Now I realize that this would be an even better fit for me. So maybe being a vet, or maybe being a physical therapist, or being a social worker, or what have you, suddenly you start discovering more options as you begin to pull out the qualities of those jobs. And frankly, we often think about jobs just in terms of what we're exposed to. When we looked at that whiteboard, a lot of people said vet. And I think that's because we probably saw veterinarians taking care of our pets, doctors, teachers. We have a very limited number of careers that we're really exposed to. I'm still not entirely sure what my own dad did, for example. I know he was a chemical engineer, and then he ended up doing management. I don't know what that, I have no idea what they did on a day-to-day basis, but, and they're not entirely sure what I do. So there is a certain level of exposure. I think I read somewhere that the average 18-year-old can name 30 careers, and there are about 30,000 careers. And so in part, it's a matter of what we're exposed to. So keep in mind those childhood dreams, but keep in mind also that dreams can change. They can change as we are confronted with new realities. They can change as we discover new options and new possibilities. And also, whatever really sparked your interest, don't focus so much on the object that you imagine, but think more about what are the qualities that went into it that really inspired you. And so you can think about caring for other people might be something that really inspires you, or creating something beautiful maybe inspires you. And then think, how might I be able to do those things if not with that one job? Because there might be other things out there as well. As we are talking about all this, we are talking about the first step in the kind of career journey. And that is what we call the career development cycle. Assess, explore, search, and launch. You are here. We are assessing. So that's where we begin. We don't begin with this search for the job. We begin back here with assessing. And so what we're going to do over the next little while is spend some time thinking more about doing your own self-assessment for what are your interests, your strengths, and your values. That's what Vice Chancellor Smith was talking about, Mark Smith. He was talking about knowing your strengths, interests, and values. So we're going to do some exercises to help you dive more deeply into what those strengths, interests, and values are. So let's do it this way. Let me share a whiteboard, and I'm fond of the whiteboards, as you probably figured out. What I want you to do is to write down on the whiteboard something from high school that was maybe an academic interest, a hobby, or a job that you had where you really enjoyed what you did. Go ahead and write it up. All right. And again, if you see somebody else put something up there that you really enjoyed as well, go ahead and put a heart or a check next to it. So I did soccer. I'm going to put a little star on soccer. Newspaper writing. Service. Okay, awesome. And now I want to try another activity here. Save that. People still putting hearts up. An X on running. Reminds me of my daughter. She decided to do cross country because she hates running and said she needed to do something that would be good for her. And if she was going to be in pain, she might as well do the thing that she hates the most. Anyway, clear all drawings here. Now, write down something that you think you might want to try that you haven't tried yet, something you're hoping to do in college. Let's think past COVID. So once you actually can be on campus and doing stuff with each other, or maybe you can do in some virtual fashion in the meantime. Finally understanding math. Nice. I'm glad to see that you realize that you're still learning and growing. That's a really important part. Got some great hiking places in St. Louis region. If you're here in St. Louis, come October, tends to be one of the drier months and it gets a little bit cooler. It is a fantastic time to go hiking. Lots of great options here. Human contact, absolutely. Knitting, archery, investment club, Model UN, badminton, outing club, baking. That's fantastic. So what I want to do now is I want to take a moment. I want to ask one of the WUSAs. This should jive with what we had asked you to think about beforehand, but some of the ways in which you thought about your interests and how you got involved in activities while you were here at WashU, maybe things that you decided to try that you didn't do before college, or maybe something you're still planning to try because even the WUSAs are still learning and growing. Would one of the WUSAs want to take a stab at that?
Yeah, so I have always liked working with kids. I always liked nannying and babysitting, but I hadn't done any service with kids in high school. So that was one thing that I wanted to get involved with in college. In first semester, I joined a club called Books and Basketball, where every week we would go to a local elementary school and we would hang out with the kids and kind of tutor them. And it was like an age range of kindergarten through 5th grade. So it was great to interact with the community and be able to like impact young kids' lives. So that was something I wanted to get involved in. Something I want to get involved in the future post-corona is I want to get more involved with like nature and hiking. And there's like some clubs that I've been trying to get involved with for the future.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. I want everybody to just take a moment and write down for yourself. Physical piece of paper is probably best at the moment. Write down some of those things that you wrote down as far as things that you really found of interest and that you're thinking about trying out at some point in the near future, in the next year or two. So go ahead and write that down. Now, as you're writing it down, it may sound strange, but sometimes it is tough for us to know what we really enjoy doing. Feel free to put a thumbs up if you've ever been in that situation where you just say, do I really want to be doing this? Is this something I really want to do? Out of all the options, what do I really want to do? Maybe we've been told by others what we should do. And we feel as though maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I should be doing that. Or maybe people tell us what we should like. Maybe there's a lot of social pressure to like certain things or do certain things. I spent a good year trying to make myself into a night person because one of my best friends liked to stay up really late at night and play cards, and it never worked. I now fully embrace being a morning person. So sometimes we can feel pressure to think that we're supposed to like something that we just really don't. Now the Career Center has some really interesting self-assessment tools that you can use. The Myers-Briggs inventory and strong interest inventory. It's one of those things where it goes through and says, would you rather fix an engine or read a book? You know, and you go through all of these different questions. And then what it does is it gives you back a profile of your interests and says, well, these tend to be your interests. If you're interested in these things, these are majors that you might enjoy. These are jobs that you might enjoy. So if you ever want to just get an outside, it's kind of like holding up a mirror and, you know, or asking somebody else, hey, how does this look? I think we've all done that at some point. The Career Center can help you with that. So definitely if that's something that's on your mind, it's like, I think it would be helpful. Check in with the Career Center at some point during the fall or spring semester and ask them about the self-assessments. At the very end of this, I'm going to show you the Career Center website and I'll be able to point you to that. Okay? So write down what some of those interests are. We're going to come back to those in a minute. We're going to take a 5-minute break and just a bio break. Go ahead, grab some water, do whatever you need to do. Take a rest from staring at the screen. Please mute yourself during the time away. And in 5 minutes, we're going to come back and we are going to move on to doing assessment for strengths. And so while you're also taking the break, think for a moment about, well, what are my strengths? And what does a strength even mean? We're going to talk about that when we get back together in 5 minutes. Any questions before we do that? Okay, let's take a break. Okay. Now we're going to bring it back together here in just a minute. Okay, so I'm just doing a little technical fixes here with the help of the WUSA while we're getting restarted. All right. So as we come back together, as I promised, we're going to think about strengths and what are strengths. Along with knowing your interests, it's also very important to think about your strengths. So before I dive into telling you what I think a strength is all about, I would love to hear from you in the chat box. Please indicate, what do you think a strength means? What is the definition of a strength or a skill? There's some good answers coming up. A quality one brings to the table, something you're good at doing, something that allows you to build confidence in yourself, something that helps you accomplish or put you closer to your end goal, something you can consistently be successful at doing. Good. Other ideas? An attribute that helps you excel in life. These are all great answers. So I would say all of these are correct, but they might not be complete. So we call this necessary but not sufficient. A strength is something definitely that you have some skill in. Helps you to accomplish what you're trying to get. But it's not just that, and it's certainly not something that you are necessarily better than other people at doing. What I want to suggest is that a strength is also something that leaves you feeling strong. Show me a thumbs up if you've ever been good at something that actually kind of leaves you feeling exhausted and maybe even a little unhappy. Okay, I'm seeing some thumbs up. Yep. So just because you're good at something doesn't necessarily make it a strength if it leaves you in the end just feeling kind of drained. So a strength is also something that is going to leave you feeling strong. It's also something that you see that you have some capacity to continue growing at. And so you might be good at it, but can you continue to improve? Do you see room for growth? And that therefore means that it doesn't necessarily have to be something that you're phenomenal at right now. It's just something that you say, you know what, I can see myself getting better at this. And the last thing I'm going to say is that it's something that you want to get better at. So it leaves you feeling strong. You have some talent for it. Maybe you're not the best in the world at it. Maybe it's not even the thing that you're best at doing, but it leaves you feeling strong. You can see some room for growth, and you're willing to put in the work. Those three together are what makes something a strength. Thinking back then on your activities that you put up on the whiteboard as something that you did in high school that gave you a sense of strength, something that left you feeling good. I want you to bring those back into your mind. I asked you to write them down. I want you to bring them back into mind. And I want you to do one more step with it. When you think about what you're good at doing, what your strengths are, maybe you're good with, I don't know, maybe soccer. Maybe you're really good at editing. Maybe you're really good at teaching other people physics concepts, whatever it is that you're good at doing. When you're doing the career preparation task, it's very important to learn to speak the language of employers. Can you explain what you're good at to somebody else who's trying to hire you to do the job? And with that in mind, what I want to do is put up here on the board, these are what the employers themselves have said, the top 10 skills that they want their employees to do. Problem solving, ability to work on a team, strong work ethic, analytical, quantitative skills, written communication, verbal communication, leadership, initiative, detail orientation, and then some technical skill that relates to the specific job at hand. The wonderful thing about an arts sci education is that you're going to see that all of these different kinds of skills are going to be developed in almost any major, any kind of activity that you're doing. So that's one of the reasons that makes an arts sci degree so versatile. But also the different activities that you do, your extracurricular activities, those sorts of things also are going to be helping you build these skills that employers want. So what I want you to do is kind of a little translation work here. Think of the thing that you said that you enjoyed doing in high school that you were good at, and look at this list and put a stamp, a heart, star, check mark, what have you, next to any of the items up here that you say, you know what, yeah, maybe I was a soccer captain. That was leadership. And teamwork, you know. So whatever it is, translate something that you said, you know, this is something I was good at. I don't think they're going to hire me because I was a soccer captain, but I can talk about teamwork. So go ahead and do a little translation work and put that. If you're having trouble with the annotation, at the very top, it should say view options or annotate. My WU says, or anybody else who's on here who's pretty savvy with this, if you see some other way that you can get me the stamp, let us know. But I believe that's how you do it. Oh, this is fantastic. So you can already see that you are developing skills already that are going to be related to whatever kind of work that somebody's going to pay you to do something. So you already have career-ready skills, and as you get involved in doing things, maybe you join an a cappella group because it's fun. Maybe it just feels good to sing. I don't know, I can't sing. But maybe it feels really, really good to sing in harmony with other people. Do it because you love it. Do it because it feels good, definitely. But keep in mind, you're also creating some really powerful skills that are going to be able to translate to other kinds of things, such as teamwork. Being able to sing in harmony, you better have some pretty good teamwork. And so don't miss that you already are doing all kinds of wonderful things to make yourself ready for whatever career that you're going into. while you're also doing things that are personally enjoyable and intellectually stimulating. A lot of, I guess another thing I want to point out is as you're looking at these skills here, except for the technical skills, and I'll talk about that in a moment, these are all skills that are coming out of an art sci education. The technical skills, there may be classes that you're taking economics, sounds like it'd be a good idea that you would take those if you want to become an economist. If you're going to be a surgeon, I hope you know biology. You know, so there are certain technical skills and knowledge that are going to translate directly into the job. Those may or may not come from your major per se. You could be a history major and then become a finance person, as long as you also have had some of the finance education. But you can major in history, get a minor in finance, and go into banking. You know, so it's not necessarily your major so much as looking at the totality of everything you're doing. Do all of the activities and the things that you're studying and doing provide the skills that are going to be necessary to get the jobs that you want? At this point, I'm going to use an athletic metaphor. I hope it translates for others who don't really care about athletics. This is kind of like cross-training. You are developing general athletic skill for the brain, athletic skill for the body, that's going to be relevant to your career work, where you are going to develop a lot of versatility, agility, and strength that is going to apply to whatever it is that you're doing in life. And there are going to be certain smaller areas of your life that are going to have some of those technical skills. Maybe you build them in an internship. Maybe you get a minor in something. You know, whatever it is, those will provide some of those technical skills, but that's only 1/10 of what you need. I can't draw it though, I'm annotating. But you're developing some really powerful skills. And with that in mind, I wanted to go to the next slide, which has, I try to avoid the text-heavy slides, but I wanted to put this quote in here from a book called Range, How Generalists Triumph in a Specialized World. It's a really fascinating book that takes a look at people who end up being successful in whatever careers they go into. A lot of people think what makes a difference is early specialization, but they found that very rarely did early specialization actually help. Early specialization helps if what you're going to be doing for the rest of your life requires repeating the same things over and over and over. If you're going to be a golfer, you're going to have to swing that golf club 1,000 times a day. Yes. But most of us are not going to be making a living doing highly repetitive tasks that you need to use in a very constrained situation over and over and over again. We're going to be dealing with a very messy world. A place where there's going to be ambiguity, where there's going to be unknowns, where we're facing things that we have never seen before, like a pandemic. And when we face these things, if you're like a doctor, a public health person, whoever it is facing a pandemic, you can read about it all you want, but until you're in it, it's not going to help. You need to be able to be very versatile, to be able to apply one idea to a new situation that nobody has seen before. So what you're doing is you're building a lot of capacity for versatility, resilience, and creativity with a broad education. So the line is, great rewards will accrue to those who can take conceptual knowledge from one problem or domain and apply it to an entirely new one. The ability to apply knowledge broadly comes from broad training. And this is just an awesome book. It's a very easy read. It's just wonderfully written. So if you want to just pick up a book just because it's a great book to read. But I really enjoyed it. And it does speak a lot to the power of a liberal education and the breadth that it provides, and points out that if you specialize in a very narrow way and don't learn this broad range, you're going to find that you're really just at a loss when the situation on the ground changes. So at any rate, I wanted to point that out because I really enjoyed this book and wanted to share it. Okay. As we're going through all this, I do want to encourage you to put any questions that you may have, whether or not it's relevant to what I'm talking about at the moment, into the chat box, and the Rusas can answer those or feed them to me as is relevant. So go ahead and definitely use chat if you have questions. You're like, well, wait a minute, what about X or Y? Okay. So then, coming back to our slideshow. The next thing, so we've talked about interests and strengths. I want to talk about what we value. This is an homage to Chadwick Boseman. Those of you who are Avengers fans, who was the Black Panther, passed away recently of cancer. That's what this little montage is about, I believe. So what I'm asking you now to think about, and I'm going to put you in small groups again so you can chat again. Who is one of your heroes and why? This person does not have to be perfect. Nobody is, but rather someone that you admire greatly for something. So I want you to think about who is one of your heroes and why. And again, I'll put you to a breakout room for about 5 minutes. Any questions before I do that? Okay. There we go.
Or like have traits in common that you look up to? Or do you try to emulate your heroes in any way in your normal life?
For a lot of people, I'm guessing qualities in their heroes is like perseverance, because a lot of time it's like people who have gone through like a rough situation or have handled something that other people don't know or haven't had the, I guess, ability or opportunity to handle. Does that make sense? That was kind of like word vomit, so I don't really know.
That's fine.
I think that certain heroes, like, I think the point of them and the reason why we consider them heroes is because we want to emulate them. Like, me personally, I find like I have a lot of trouble finding people like who are real to be heroes. Like, honestly, the closest person I've ever like wanted to emulate my entire life is stupid, but like Elle Woods from the Glue Blonde. Like, I don't know. Like, I have a lot of trouble with that. I don't know. My personality is pretty specific, so I feel I haven't found anyone that I really wanted to really emulate.
You can also think of it as somebody that you admire. I'm going to join into the other group. It'll be just a couple more minutes.
Does anyone have a favorite superhero, like Marvel, that kind of style?
All right, so we come back together. Lucis, can you share what the conversation was like in your room?
Yeah, sure. In my room, we discussed how a hero can be someone who's older or younger than you, how it could be a parent or people you look up to / want to emulate. And sometimes it's hard to find people who like you want to emulate in that way.
Yeah, we talked about something similar. I joined in late, but the parts that I did hear, some people said that it was like in their family, and other people had heroes that weren't. Some heroes directly helped the person, and others just did something really important in history.
Excellent, excellent. You know, it can be hard to find somebody to emulate because, well, all people, they have their limitations as well. And so it's really important to be who you are rather than trying to become somebody else. One of the values in thinking about the people that you admire is also that often it's their values that draws you to them. So if it's perseverance, if it's generosity, if it's financial success, or whatever it is that about somebody that draws you to them, that attracts you to them, it often has to do with just fundamental values. Values are difficult to necessarily put your finger on because if I ask somebody, do you have values? They say, oh, sure, of course I do, but who doesn't? But if I ask you, well, which ones do you think are most important? It can be really difficult to put your finger on it. But if you can witness it within somebody else and say, well, I like that person because of X and Y, then that can reflect back. And therefore, maybe that's really important to me as well. And so maybe I should look for the ways in which I can live out those values within my own life. So I do want you to take a moment and just jot down on a piece of paper, what are some of those values that really stood out to you? If you have more than, I would say 5, then you probably have too many. My wife has a saying that she really likes, if you can't count your priorities in one hand, then you don't have priorities. So really think about what are the chief values in life that are kind of your non-negotiables. So it's like, you know what, when push comes to shove, I won't give on this. That is so important to me. It could be family. It could be, more of a abstract value. So think about what are those values for you. And as you, we'll come back around to talking about strengths, interests, and values and pulling these things all together. One other thing also is if there is somebody in your life who kind of embodies something that you truly value and that you're grateful for, let them know. You might, today want to give them a call. and just say, hey, thank you so much for X or for Y, and just let them know that, because sometimes we don't do that until it's too late. And so be sure to let them know. Okay, at this point then, we're going to do another activity before we take another short break. But I also, let's see, Sarah, you had shared last time as Vusa, right? So this time, let's see, Chloe, I'm hoping that you can speak for a moment. There were a couple questions that I asked you all to speak to that you had prepared for, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Chloe, go ahead and let us, I want to make sure what I'm about to ask you is what you had actually prepared for.
Oh yeah, okay. So I kind of prepared for Wusa 2's role. So it was about like how no one has a straight line path and that success is not a straight line. So I came into WashU thinking I wanted to study chemistry and end up possibly in the business side of patents, but very quickly into Chem 111, it became clear that chemistry was not going to be my passion and that I really liked my calculus class. All my advisors and professors were like super supportive of me in my imperfect journey into finding like things I enjoyed. And like while I'm still undecided at WashU, I'm super confident that no choice is going to be the wrong one, and that no matter what I choose to study, I'll be taught and surrounded by super passionate, hardworking individuals. So definitely shouldn't get too caught up in like what you came into college to study, and really keep an open mind in all of your classes, because you never know what you're going to end up loving and what you're going to end up deciding like is not what you want to pursue.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. That really puts us in the right spirit for the next activity. I want you to take this moment to kind of pull together what you've been thinking about already with your strengths, interests, and values. If you are able to do so, I want you to navigate to a different browser. Do not click leave or end on your screen, but minimize the screen and you're going to go to a different page. If you go to Canvas, what you're going to find is, let me share this first so I can show you what it is that you're going to be looking for. So when you go to Canvas, make sure that this is showing. Okay, so you're looking at my Canvas page. You're looking for your career journey, a roadmap, Art Science Career Center, Bare Beginnings. You may see an invitation link at the very top of the page. If you do not see this shell, your career journey, or the invitation, please send me a note in chat just to me individually. But when you go in here, what you're going to see is this page. As part of this program, you're going to fill this thing out. It's called the PACE map. The PACE map asks you about your academic interests, your hobbies and activities, possible long-term goals, your strengths and skills, and what matters to you. And you're going to click on PACE map, and it's a survey that asks you to write down these things. Now, as you write them down, please keep in mind that this is something that your academic advisor and the career advisors can see, so that when you come to see them, they can refer to it and they can get to know you a little bit better. So this is not a private journal. This is something that is designed to be shared with an advisor, so in an advising capacity. So please share that if you, let's take about 5 to 7 minutes to do that then. Let me see, I got a couple chats. Okay. Okay, cool. People didn't see it, but it just popped up. Other people did it way ahead of the time because you are ahead of the game. So yeah, if you've already done it, see if there's anything you'd want to update, and otherwise you can take just a short break. After we do this, we are going to take a 5-minute break and then come back and we're going to do the next part, which is a matter of, now that we've kind of gone through assessing your strengths, interests, and values, taking a look at starting the exploration phase of how do you use the Career Center to begin exploring the different career options out there. So that's what we're going to cover after you fill out your PACE map. Any questions about that, please put it in chat. And let's see, so looking at the time to tell you how long it'll be. So we're going to regroup, let's say by 3:30 Central Time. Please use that time to fill out your PACE map, take a break, and then come back here by 3:30. All right, just so I can get a sense of who's back, can you please go into reactions and put a thumbs up if you are back and ready to go? Does anybody still need another minute? Your reactions, put a hand clap if you need another minute. Okay, well, let's go ahead and get rolling. There is one last program at 4 p.m. that I want to make sure that we are out of here for, so that you can get into the kind of the closing of the Arts and Sciences Advising Orientation programming for Friday. So let me go back to a previous slide. With the career development cycle, assessing and exploring are the first two steps. This also is a process that you're going to be going through over and over and over again. So assessing yourself and exploring what's out there. Searching is the actual process of saying, now that I have an idea of what I'm trying to get, how do I go find that specific experience? Exploring is more finding what's possible to do. And as we do this, I also want to emphasize that this is a process that you're going to take with you for the rest of your life. So whether you are doing it now, trying to think about what your major might be in a few years when you're looking for your first job, when you are into your first job and you're trying to decide on your second job, and so forth and so on, you're going to continually go through this process of saying, okay, let's step back, assess myself. What are my strengths, interests, and values? How can I begin to explore what's out there? What are my resources to explore what my options might even be? And then you go through searching, and then you launch and you land something. And then after you're there for a little while, you step back and you assess again. So the exploration part. Exploration is looking for what's out there. If assessment is what's inside, exploration is what is out there. Whether it's learning more about jobs that we already know exist, or discovering through some kind of intentional conversation what the path has been like for somebody else, such as what we heard with our WUSA, it is very, very helpful to explore. It helps us to learn what's possible. I like this image of hiking in the dark, because oftentimes we can feel as though we can only see a few feet in front of us, but as long as you keep that light on and you're still moving, you will continually see what's in front of you, and eventually you will see all that's out there. So you might not be able to see everything at a single glance, but keep the light on and keep moving forward. So the Career Center is one of the chief places at the university where you can explore. It's not the only place, but it is one of the chief places. I'll just mention really quickly some of the other ways that you can find out what options are. If you're really into civic engagement, if you think you might want to do politics, you want to do something with the nonprofit region, I would really strongly recommend working closely with the Gephardt Institute. If you're interested in entrepreneurship, the Scandalaire Center is an excellent place to go to learn all kinds of important entrepreneurial skills, resources, and connections. The Career Center is probably the largest, though, just in terms of helping people think about what the different career options out there might be. So I'm going to share a video with you about the Career Center to introduce you to some of the resources that they have. One moment. That's not it. Here we go. Let me make sure that I am sharing correctly. And here we go.
Sometimes there's this thinking that you need to know what you want to do in order to come here, and that is not the case. I remember a first-year student that I met. She scheduled an appointment and she goes, I don't really even have anything to talk about. I'm not really yet ready to start on my career journey, but I just want to get a relationship going and get to know someone and learn about you all's services. She came in to meet with me her first year. We continue to communicate over the course of her 4 years, and we still stay in communication. And she's 2 jobs out of WashU.
The reality is you only have a couple summers. A lot of these companies don't offer internships to younger students. So what can you do that freshman and sophomore year to explore some of the things you're interested in, so you're not like me and get stuck after grad school making kind of a switch. So a lot of the things that the Career Center offers helps with that process.
We do a lot of events where you can meet people in person. So road shows, you go to a specific city, you meet alumni who are working in a specific industry, maybe like NBC Universal or The Daily Show, which is really cool. When you meet someone in person, you have this really nice in to follow up with them after. So if you've never met a person before, it is kind of this awkward, uncomfortable, cold email of, hey stranger, talk to me. And that is not an inappropriate thing to do. That's a thing you can do. But it's a lot easier and a lot more comfortable to say, hey, I met you on the road show, or hey, I met you when you came for this information session to campus, or hey, I just talked to you at the career fair. That's a much more easy in to starting a conversation with someone.
I think that, we can help you. So you come in with a counselor and you're just honest. I have no idea what I want to do. Or I think I want to do consulting because I've heard about that and I've talked to some people. Or I'd like to do something with math or with writing, but I'm not even sure what I could do with that. And we can help you, and we can get you to the right resources. Maybe it's a roadshow, maybe it's a career interest group, maybe it's some speakers we have in, maybe it's some alums we know who work in that field that we can connect you with.
I think that we can serve as supports and coaches, and I think sometimes just having someone that you can say, here's what I'm thinking, and here's all the ideas that I have, and here's what I've done so far, and having somebody be able to reflect that back to you or help you process it or help you have this whole overwhelming process boil down to, okay, get a job is too big of a goal. So let's narrow it down to, before I meet with you next time, here are 3 things you can do that are much more tangible and doable and feels more manageable, and then come back and tell me about it.
I guess in this new age of technology and like having this overwhelming amount of information, it's really nice to have a human being who's trained in this field to let you know this is important information and this is what is applicable to you.
What I would tell students is certainly to, 1, make an appointment, or B, stop by our drop-in hours, which are every day, no appointment needed, and then start really just asking questions. And part of the process with working with a career advisor is less about the X's and O's or the dot your I's or cross your T's. It's a little bit about, let's get to know you as a student, what drives you, what your passions, where you find your energy. Those types of things will make a difference towards career decision making and our next steps together.
So the Career Center is, what we want to emphasize is that the Career Center in a way is like being a coach. You do not need to know what your career is going to be before you go to the Career Center. Maybe something that is more familiar to you is what's called a writing center. In the same way that you might go to your writing center in order to get help with just brainstorming or how to begin structuring what you're trying to do, not just trying to edit your final draft. The Career Center is there to help you just with your very basic brainstorming. What's possible? What do I even like to do? What are some of the jobs out there that might be a good fit for me? So with thinking about the career advisors as a coach, I want to put up a poll real quick. If you, let's say, that's not the point. Okay, scratch that. The poll is not going to work. What I would like you to do is think about what have coaches done for you in your life. There are a number of different things that we probably ask coaches to do for us. One of them is to inspire us. Also, coaches, they're not going to do it for you, but they're going to support you all the way through. So in the same way, the Career Center is not a matching center. The Career Center is instead a place that you're going to go where they are going to help coach you through the process of finding something and applying for it. Our coaches can hold us accountable. It's nice to have a relationship with a career advisor, because then it's somebody that you're thinking, okay, they're going to want to know how things are going with that particular job search or with whatever it is that I'm working on. And so they can help us be accountable, and they can also suggest specific moves, specific plays. So your career advisor is going to be a particularly important person for you. And the resources at the Career Center can be very, very helpful. I would like to take a minute and share the Career Center website with you so that we can begin to show you what are some of the options out there that might really, really be most helpful for you. Okay. So you should be viewing the Career Center website at this point. If you're not, please put something in the chat to let me know that you're not seeing what I think you're looking at. So at the Career Center, what I would recommend that you think about. First of all, the Career Center has some really great information for advising appointments. So you can go straight in, click on advising appointments, and by phone or Zoom, they can help you with exploring, searching, networking, applying, interviews, and more. They also have information on employers on campus, who this is largely through CareerLink. So at some point, the Career Center is going to reach out to you and introduce you to CareerLink. When you go into CareerLink, that is where you're going to see all the jobs, all the internships, all of the different workshops that they're hosting, the different employers that are going to be on campus that you can meet with. They also have, let me go down here, clear these pictures. One moment. Okay. When you scroll down, there are a few things that I want to point out to you. Here's where you would go for CareerLink. Click on there, log in with your Rooster key, and it will take you into the career management system. And here's all kinds of information about setting up your CareerLink profile. Also, what you can do is over here on the right-hand side, career interest groups. That's something else that I really, really like about the Career Center. As you move forward and you're thinking, okay, well, what are the different kinds of jobs out there? You can begin to look at these large groups of jobs that are called career interest groups. You can see consulting, engineering, entertainment, fashion, so on and so forth. Those of you who are here for medicine, pre-health would be your group. Not every job, not every industry is represented here, but some of the larger ones are. So for example, if you're interested in writing, in speaking, in marketing, public relations, persuading people, being famous, that often goes along with helping other people to look famous in PR. You can look here and you can log in to join this group. And then you can see the career advisors who are specifically affiliated with that group. If you don't know which industry you would want to go into yet, that's fine. It's perfectly fine to join one of these things when you are, a sophomore, on up. And so in that case, you would want to work with some of the career activities that are going to be happening within the, in your first year to help introduce you to what are all the possibilities out there. So these are some of the key things that I wanted to point out to you: how to make an appointment, looking at the career interest groups. And then there also is career outcome data. So then you can look, while they do have the job landings by major, again, I do want to emphasize that let me just show you real quickly. If you're wondering, what did English majors go on to do? What you can see is 93% of English majors got a job or a spot in grad school or something within 6 months of graduation. 93%, that's pretty good. But what I want to emphasize is if you look at the different titles that they had, it is all over the place. Certainly you do have things that are related to writing or teaching. So not surprising, some English majors became English teachers. But they also became paralegals. They also became project managers. They also became analysts, something like a consultant, where your job is to research a given project or a given product and be able to tell others how they should invest their money. So there's all kinds of different things: designers, editorial assistants. And then you can see all the different post-grad employers that they may have worked with. Amazon, they are hiring like mad now. Customer resource management, General Mills, Epic, it's federal government. So I did want to point that out, but that resource should demonstrate for you how a single major can go in so many different directions. And you may say, well, then what's the logic to it? It's that major plus their experiences, plus their extracurriculars, plus anything else led them to that goal. So that's how it works. Check out the Career Center then for their employers on campus roadshows, career interest groups, Career Link. They are ready for you wherever you are. To come back then to the slideshow. As you're moving ahead, this is something that Chloe was pointing out. We often imagine that success is a straight line, but it's not. And it's not because accidents happen, it's because that's life. You go straight and then you take a turn and then you make another decision. And then you find something. This may look like a mess. This probably to me looks like somebody's really enjoying themselves. And they are finding different things that they can do, and they're reassessing, they're exploring, they're searching and landing, they're assessing themselves again, exploring, landing. And then here they find something that they want to hang on to for a little while. So talk to your parents, friends, talk to staff members, talk to the guy who works at the coffee shop, who owns the coffee shop. Ask them, how did you know what you wanted to do and how did you get there? And I guarantee you their stories are almost always going to be like the one on the right and not on the left. Yes, there are people out there who say, oh, I know what I wanted to do and then I did it and here I am. They are the minority. I want to say they did a study and about 20% of people are the left-hand side and 80% of people are the right-hand side. Not because they made mistakes, but because this is what life looks like organically for most people. So we're coming to an end point here. Let's see, originally that was going to be a break with a pace map. But what I wanted to come back to is this idea of living lives of purpose. I'm going to stop sharing for a moment because honestly, what I am viewing right now is a screen and a lot of people's names and a few people's faces. And I would much rather see your faces. So I'm going to stop sharing. And if you can put on your video, if you're comfortable with that, please, so we can actually see each other, that'd be super nice. Okay. Starting to wonder if it's one screen looking at another screen. Okay. Awesome. So, lives of purpose and meaning. It sounds very grandiose, a little bit vague. They've actually figured out what is the formula that leads to somebody feeling as though their life has some kind of sense of purpose to it. And what they found is that when people have a sense of what matters to them in terms of their strengths, interests, and values, and they make choices that align with those things, they are much more likely to say they have a strong sense of purpose in what they're doing. When people did not do things, when they said, well, here's the job I have, or here's the major I'm studying, or what have you, and they said, well, what do you like? And there was nothing in common, that person was much more likely to feel kind of lost, feel a little bit aimless, not like they were really doing something that mattered. So what matters to you is going to be unique to you. That's why the job, like the Career Center, can't do placement, because it's really the process of landing it that is so much a part of it becoming meaningful. So take the time to think about your strengths, interests, and values. Know that that is an ongoing iterative process that you're going to continually be learning. And I'll also say that it's important not to spend your whole life constantly self-analyzing. It's exhausting. Come back to it from time and again. Know that your advisor is there, the career advisors are there to have those conversations with you. Day to day, you're going to get really bogged down in your daily tasks, the dramas of your friends and your families, the things that are just like, there's a show, there's a streaming show that you want to watch, et cetera, et cetera. There's homework to do. Every once in a while, take a step back and assess. Am I doing things that matter to me? What are my strengths, interests, and values, and do they align with what I'm choosing to do? Think about it with the classes you're taking this fall. Think about it with the classes you decide to take in the spring. When winter rolls around and you're thinking about summer, think about it in terms of what do you want to do with the summer? Not what you're supposed to do, but what you're going to do. So I'm going to tell you one thing I'm not embarrassed of. I love to geek out on the Avengers. The Avengers is a lot of fun for me. Awesome line in the Avengers where the mom says to Thor, you're always going to fail at what you're supposed to do. You're going to succeed at who you are. So put away what you're supposed to do. That's probably coming from someone else. Think about who you are and try to line yourself up with that. I love the movies. They're a lot of fun, a lot of CGI, and once in a while there's a little nugget in there that, you know, of wisdom just to kind of keep you going. So I'm hoping that this program helped to bring some things to light for you. I really appreciate you giving it the old college try and really lasting throughout the entire time. I want to give a special shout out to Chloe and to Sarah. Thank you. They did amazing work today behind the scenes and also leading those breakout groups. Much appreciated. It's been a long, strange summer. Let's get the fall rolling with some good programs. We're able to take some good classes, some good activities, even if they're on Zoom for now. Sarah and Chloe, quick question. Do you have a place to take them next? No? Okay.
We have WSU meetings at 7, so just keep that in mind.
Okay, so there is a program that I was asked to make sure that you are aware of, and that is kind of a closing program with Dean Smith. Let me pull you back up so I can see you. People give me a thumbs up if you know what program I'm talking about. It's on your list. Yeah, you know. Okay, can somebody type up here in the chat what it is? Let me see if I can pull it up in my email. This is not part of my facilitator notes because the email came a little bit later. Sorry, it's a little sloppier on my part. Inclusion and induction to arts and sciences. Nailed it, Nathan. Thank you. And where is it?
I think it's just on Zoom.
Okay. You got the URL? Or was it emailed to you? Okay. All right, so I'm going to assume that you have the link for that. Conclusion, Induction, Arts and Sciences. I will stay on for the next 3 or 4 minutes for any questions that people have. Do people have any questions? They can put it in the chat, or you can just unmute yourself and ask. So hang in there. Have a great semester, and if you need anything from me, just let me know my contact information from the earlier part of the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, Jordan or Igor? Jordan may have walked away for the moment.
Yeah.
Igor? All right. Sarah and Chloe, any questions?
No questions.
I'm all
Thank
good.
you for having us.
Yeah, if you ever want to just chat with me, Sarah, I know you're my advisor, so we'll be chatting more often. Chloe, same. If you ever want to chat about, the academic, career intersection or, major declaration, what have you, I am more than happy just to chat.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much.
Have a great rest of your day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.